Hi, I'm Ciara and I'm a past participant of Suburban Sounds, and today I will be talking to the mentors of Suburban Sounds. So if you could all just introduce yourselves really quickly, name, age if you'd like, and just a little background about yourselves, that'd be great.
I'm Jerry, I'm a mentor on Subsounds. I'm 40, which I'm terrible to admit. I'm a musician, I've been a musician for the last 20 years, playing in bands. I do kind of soundtracks and I run the recording studio next door, Contact Studio.
Brill.
My name is Martin. I'm a mentor, Subsounds. I'm 50 3/4. I run an organisation called Alternative Entertainments, which is an arts group that focuses mostly on musical activities. And I'm a guitar player, which I should have said first because that's mainly what I am.
Brill.
My name is Elton. I'm 21 today.
Happy birthday! Oh my God.
And I've been working with the Subsounds course for a long time. Like the 10 years.
The longest
That
time.
didn't mean to sound so dreary.
A long time.
The 10-year anniversary that we're celebrating this year, and also the kind of prior setup as well. I'm a bass player, songwriter, singer, and I work in television production as well as being a musician.
Yoba. Very good.
Thank you.
So do you want to tell me a bit about the birth of Subsounds and how it came to be what it is today?
I'll do
Martin?
that.
Yes, thank you, Martin.
Subsounds started in 2009, but it grew out of a thing that myself and Elton had been doing for the previous 5 years called South Dublin Rock School. And that kind of came to a natural end in 2008. We produced an album with that group of kids. And we were looking to change it up and move on. And then Jerry here from Contact Studio got on board. The county council got on board in a bigger way. This building had just opened, so it's a much better facility for the kind of thing we were doing.
Where did you do it beforehand?
We did it out of community centres and kitchens.
Very good.
Anywhere really, we just set up. It was all very DIY and pop-up before pop-up was a thing.
Before
But
it was cool.
yeah, we made it cool.
Oh,
And then
very
we
good.
moved away from it. We stayed in the same spot then for 10 years.
Sweet.
Rue Red, which is where we are
Consistency.
right now. Yes.
Love it.
But that's where I came from.
Okay, cool. And what is the purpose of the course? Who do you hope to benefit from the course and etc.?
Well, the participants are 14 to 18-year-old musicians. And the idea is to create a space where they write their own music, record it, they can rehearse together. We just created a community of musicians. That was the whole point. That kind of thing used to exist in Tala, and around about the time me and Elton started doing it in 2004, I felt anyway that it wasn't as strong as it had been. There used to be lots of young bands in the area, and then there wasn't as many, so I was interested in trying to give them somewhere to do that again, so I think we've done that.
Was it kind of like word of mouth before? Do you think that's why there wasn't
Completely.
as many?
It was completely word of mouth, and it grew very slowly over the years. It's still kind of word of mouth, but we have a lot more big time funders on board who have a bigger reach than we used to have, so that's great. We can get the word out to a lot more people, and now it's just a question of capacity. We can take a lot more people, and we have the money to be able to run it properly.
And what kind of things do you offer on the course?
Wow.
A lot.
Yeah, it's varied and it's a lot. I suppose it's that kind of safe creative space where the kids can come every week and be creative is the basic outline. But after that, the more specifics, we concentrate on songwriting throughout the whole thing. Big emphasis on songwriting, on collaboration, on learning to be in a band and learning how to rehearse together, songwriting, lyrics, individual instrumentation. There's also music technology has become a much bigger thing over the last 3 or 4 years, and so every year we're upping the amount of that we're doing as well. So that pretty much sums it up.
It's even so much of the nitty gritty bits that you wouldn't really think go into it, like the setting up of the PA at the start and stuff like that.
Sure, all that hands-on stuff as well. Yeah, I suppose stuff that a lot of musicians would take for granted, but when the guys come in, they learn the very basics, like how to wrap cables, set up PAs, restring their guitars, tune their guitars, all the basics as well. So yeah.
And there's a lot of you do all the recording throughout the year.
Yeah, for the last few years we've gone to Windmill Lane kind of towards the end of the programme. So we basically, the aim now is we're going to play a gig, we're going to record an album, and then we're going to play a gig to launch the album. So we have a day in Windmill Lane, which is amazing. And then I take the recordings back here and mix them.
And what kind of, do you think that having experience as musicians yourself brings a lot to the course?
Oh, that's what it's all about. Yeah. I mean, we're all giggers. We've all been playing and writing and recording and doing all that stuff all our lives. So, and we're still doing that. So, I suppose we're coming from a good, honest place. You asked her about recording. Jerry also does ongoing demo recordings throughout the year. So anytime anyone comes in with a new song and they want to throw it down, an acoustic demo or whatever, a piano demo version of it or whatever, they can come in and do that. Also, over the last few years, we started getting the kids into doing that themselves. So we're bringing in laptops. We'll have laptops set up in different rooms, and the kids themselves are learning how to record each other, and that's been brilliant. Yeah.
I think one of the big parts of it as well for me as well was learning how to be in a band, because a lot of people come in only having played by themselves. So setting up the bands, I think, is quite useful.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, for me, I had friends who were musicians when I was a teenager, so I think I was very lucky. Not everybody has that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who've come in here kind of wouldn't have had the opportunity to play with people their age otherwise.
Yeah, because like I was literally, had only ever played in my bedroom, and then it opened up.
Yeah, there is maybe there's more of an influence, not an influence, there's more of a focus on individual solo performances, I think, in the culture these days.
Definitely.
Maybe bands are on the way back, I think, a little bit, but yeah, people walk in, they've no idea how to be in the room with other band members. And why would they? It's something you have to learn. We learned it. But when I was starting out, the organisation that I'm running now, All Tents, would do weekend rock schools in Tala, and they'd get people in, and that's where the idea came from. Yeah. They'd come in, and we'd be all standing around looking like gobshites in the room, and they'd say, "Well, this is your amp. Do you know how to turn it on?" They show us how to turn it on. How, the guitar players were told to stop playing solos in the middle of everything. Simple things that
drummers told to shut up.
Yeah, one shut up and everyone turned down.
Yeah.
But it's usually an older musician who does that for you.
Yeah.
So we've just kind of formalised that, and there's 5 or 6 older musicians being grumpy in the rooms for 3 hours on a Wednesday night. It's my favourite part.
It is. But I always found it didn't even feel like yous were mentors, really.
Because we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, that was completely it. No, it's just more like, I remember one time when I started and I asked Martin, I was like, "Can I go to the bathroom?" And he was like, "Why would you ask me that?" He's like, "Obviously."
Well, that's a good point. I mean, even the word, there was a time when we were being referred to as tutors, which we had to knock in the head, because that's definitely not what we do. Mentors, it's a bit of a better term, I suppose, but we're just musicians like everybody else in the course. So when you were in doing it, you wrote a song, I became a guitar player on your song for a rehearsal. It was your rehearsal, it wasn't mine.
Yeah.
So, we were there and we'd tell the drummer to have a listen, please stop banging stuff. And
yeah.
Because,
put
kids,
some kind of structure on there.
A little bit of just barking every now and then, but we've been calling it a collective now for a good few years. And the point of that is that it's led by the young musicians, not by us. So it's good that you picked up on that. That's what it's supposed to be. We're all musicians together. We're just older. Well, I'm just older.
We know how much older now too.
I could have made that number up.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, there seems to be a lot of people going from suburban sub-sounds to BIM or other kind of music colleges or careers. Do you think you should place importance on letting people know what kind of options they have going forward?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So we'll do open days for the various colleges around the place, and there'll probably be more of that again this year. So that's been really good, really, really fruitful, I guess.
So yeah, you were talking about the other career options. I was
just saying the getting into the practice of almost preparing a portfolio or doing preparation for work that you're going to present. So even if you're not going to be a musician or necessarily into creative careers, it's a really good discipline to get a handle on from that young age.
I also think it's a nice thing to have for, I don't think there's many things like it for teenagers. Something that every week it's like a consistent thing that you have to, well, I had to look forward to as well. So it's like nice to have that thing. And
Yeah, it's part of the discipline of being a musician as well. It's good to get used to turning up for rehearsals.
And having to finish things as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, very good at starting new songs and get distracted by the latest idea that they have. But when you have a gig ahead, you have an album that you have to record, it means that you've got to finish the work.
Yeah.
It's a great discipline to learn young.
There was always like a bit of mild panic in the air from you when it was coming up to...
Really?
Yeah, just a little bit,
Just a touch.
What, the up to the final gig?
Or Windmill Lane. Is that something that's like...
No, that's the same.
The same every year?
Yeah, that's a good kind of good raw panic, healthy raw panic.
Yeah. But it always works out.
That's because people put their work in, because we make them.
Because
They see
make
us
them.
panicking and they're like, Jesus, we better do some work here.
Yeah.
Well, we do that gig in December.
No.
Well, we do now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, down in
just downstairs.
formal
here.
space.
Oh, yeah.
Did we not do that with you?
No, you did.
Yeah,
you
and
were
we've-
paying attention, right?
Yeah.
We've
I
brought
was
more
there.
internal showcase gigs into the year as well.
Yes.
So we're setting deadlines ahead because the other thing is you're working with young people who are 14, 15, 16, and they almost don't know the enormity of being able to go in a recording studio in Windmill Lane.
Yeah.
Whereas, we're like, this is amazing, or any of the guys who have done it who come back and do it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird to it's kind of hard to get across what a big a deal that is, and how brilliant an experience it is. So trying to prep the guys for that. So for that reason, we've brought in more. We have more gigs every year now, and we have more, like I said, internal showcases where people have to be ready before we go in. If they're not ready, then...
And if they're not, it's maybe a bit of a like, crap, I'm not ready. Maybe I should get ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because we were even talking, like I was sitting with Amy and Lindsay, and we were saying like at the time we did not realise how cool it was that we were performing in Windmill Lane. And now we're like, okay, we do that again.
or how ready you had to be for the session. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What usually happens though is after people do it, they realise that was a big room.
Yeah.
The desk was like the Starship Enterprise.
And you could never, it's possible you could never be in a recording studio like that.
Absolutely.
Very likely.
Yeah. Do you have any memories that stand out from the 10 years? Good or bad?
I remember Dylan's performance stood out for me in the Grand Social.
Yeah.
He had put his song into two parts, and the first half was a ballad on piano, and then we had Valerie Francis, who's an amazing musician. She was the live sound engineer.
Mm-hmm.
She pressed play on his track, and we'd built this backing track in the studio, so he was going to get up from behind the piano and kind of walk up to the front and grab the microphone.
So dramatic.
Yeah, but he was terrified beforehand. He was really nervous.
Yeah, he was talking about that the other day.
And he absolutely nailed it. It's hard. I get really emotional every year at those gigs.
Yeah.
It never fails to hit you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always somebody every year. There's at least one kid who looks like they wouldn't even be able to look you in the face and speak to you. And in April in the Grand Social at the final gig, they're up giving little socks on the stage. Every year that happens. So I always remember those kids. The other ones who were just bullshitting in your face all the time, you try to forget those. No,
Yeah.
we don't.
Wasn't me anyway.
It wouldn't be you.
It's funny you see, because
Definitely not.
people have done it for 3-4 years, and you can see them grow up. You see them change, and the difference in confidence in a lot of them.
That was the main thing for me. Like I remember the first time I was made play a song I'd written that we don't speak of anymore. And,
That was a country one.
Well, there's still country to be fair, but no, I was so terrified. I was literally like, oh my God, kill me now, swallow me up in the ground. But then like literally, I think I'd done it for like 3 years. And by the end it was like, my confidence was just like up there.
Yeah, that's the big thing about it. I mean, you asked about memories. My memory's crap, but what I do notice, or what I love about it, is having grown-up relationships with people who went through it, who are now, well, they always were my equal, but now they know they're my equal.
Yeah.
And I think we played some small part in that, which is very cool. It's not a musical thing.
But it doesn't have to be a musical thing.
Music, I find, is one of the best mediums to encourage that kind of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I think seeing what Lindsay's done,
Absolutely.
the fact that she came back, she never really left. Like when she was finished with Sub Sounds, she went to BIM and just started showing up on Wednesdays. And she
you
would
were like, stop.
You're not
Go
supposed
away.
to still be here. There's her and Pan used to come back.
Yeah.
But Lindsay was determined to get involved, so we started kind of bringing her in and getting her to help us run workshops. And then it wasn't long before she was doing them on her own. And then she started doing the schools program. And now she's pretty much a mentor the same as the rest of us. And her songs are incredible. As a writer, she started off like amazing. When she was 14, 15, she was such a good writer. And
From the
she's just
get-go,
kept
it was
developing.
like, yeah.
And what's very interesting about that is me and Martin are now, we play in our band at the moment, which is quite
That's
bizarre,
insane. Yeah.
but amazing. And she's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think I have no, when you ask that question about abiding memories, I have no individual abiding memories at all. But the one thing that does strike me every year is nothing to do with the music. There's always a few blinders of tunes every few years where you're like, if that got released, that could be a worldwide hit kind of thing. But I think it's the confidence thing that happens every year. So when you have kids, I see kids coming in at the start of the year who remind me very much of myself when I was 12, 13, 14. I was crippled with shyness. And when I see them in 8 months later or whatever up on stage, rocking out, it blows my mind. Yeah, it's very emotional. I usually have a little cry at the showcase gig. Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. I think like all the participants do as well. You're kind of raging when it's over. Like you're buzzing for the gig, and then it's like, oh no, what am I going to do on a Wednesday now?
Yeah.
Speaking of great tunes, I've had to do work on websites recently. I've been getting some material together from the years. That Wolfman, that version we did of your song, 3 years ago, for Wolfman, the studio version, the limo. Holy, that's.
Oh, stop it.
Well, I mean, I don't know who arranged it now. I'm not sure. But that's a cracker.
Thanks.
Yeah, I've been saying that for years. That's the best song we ever did in Wimbledon Lane.
Really?
Yeah, it's the
So
performance
good.
is amazing.
Jesus.
Vocal is so good.
There you go.
But the whole
Thanks,
thing,
Ed.
the sounds of the guitars, just the attitude.
It's had such a good band, I feel. And I feel like everyone on I think it makes such a difference when you're on a song and you love the song.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I remember I was on Lindsay's Joker and I loved that song. I think I was playing the bass. Like, I don't play the bass. And I was like, yes.
Yeah,
I think it does make such a difference.
about that group where it all came together. The whole Sub Sounds thing. We tried out a lot of different things that we kind of didn't repeat the following year. We used to have a lot more careers talks and things like that. And we just found that the age that we were working with, they weren't ready for that. They weren't really that interested in it. Like, they're interested in finding more about where they could go to college or what careers were available to them. But the actual nuts and bolts of the industry,
They didn't
they
care.
got kind of pretty bored of it.
Yeah.
But once it started to be just a collective, just a group of people making music together with the kind of goal of doing some recording and doing a gig, then it really came together. So
I think as well, isn't it, like when you have a group starting off, like a nearly fresh group, and then they do it for a few years, it probably gets really good because it's like...
Yeah, I think it's one of
That's
the
probably the wrong
elements.
word, but...
No, you're right. It does. But one of the things that is working now for us is having people who've done it for 2 or 3 years helping the newbies.
Yeah.
So when new people come in, you can see they're a little bit...
Because it is intimidating. Like,
Yeah,
you come into a
it's
room and
scary.
you have to play a song, you're like... But
Well, apart from Donal, who came in his first day and knocked the Villagers tune out at Park.
yes.
I still haven't forgiven him for that.
We still all hate him.
Yeah. But it's good to have... And everybody always gets on board. None of the returning people, in my experience, have been nasty to the new chaps. At least I haven't seen it. And by the time Christmas comes along, like a couple of months in, it's solid. So that system is working very well for us.
Yeah, and you're, like you say, like you're meeting people with the same interests. Like, I have friends for like life. And like the amount of people you know from doing it is insane.
yeah, it's interesting seeing you guys now who haven't maybe seen each other regularly or not in a while, how you're straight back in. where you
Straight
left
back,
off.
like,
It's a real
it's
kind
insane.
of strong bond from doing that.
definitely. Well, thank you all very much. It's lovely talking.
Our
to
pleasure.
yous.
Thank you.
Thank you.